Farmers hope an early May window will get them back into the field before rains return. Soybeans make new highs before sputtering again in volatile trading. Crop scouts confirm lower wheat production in Kansas, but will that trigger a big new rally? I'll cover these stories and more on this week's edition of The Buzz. May Day was a holiday for many farmers, but not by choice. Corn planters stayed parked in many areas, and progress could fall 15 to 20% behind normal in Monday's update from USDA. Tractors should get rolling again over the weekend, but more rain may halt field work again by the end of the week. The trade, though nervous, became unstuck during a May Day sell-off that continued into the end of the week, taking prices back below $5. A double top on the old crop corn chart hurt momentum, which threatened to break December futures below their 2014 channel. Demand remains strong, which should convince USDA to knock another 50 to 75 million bushels off old crop ending stocks in Friday's May production, supply, and demand report. The agency also releases its first monthly numbers for 2014 crops, which should show a modest increase in carryout, perhaps around 1.3 billion bushels. USDA should use acreage from its March 31st prospective planting survey as a base for the forecast. Most years the agency plugs in an aggressive yield estimate that assumes normal weather and planting progress. This year's questions could hold back that tendency, keeping production to about 13.5 billion bushels, a big crop, but not as big as some fear. Still, futures appear to be following their seasonal trend for an April top, which could boil down remaining opportunities to summertime weather scares. Make sure your marketing plan can survive if those scares don't materialize, getting 35 to 40% of expected production price now. Boredom is rarely a threat for anyone who watches the soybean market. May beans rallied back from a late April slump to tick to new contract highs on Wednesday, but futures couldn't hold, breaking sharply on talk of more imports and a market-year low in export sales. Deliveries in soybean meals also played into the bearish scenario. To paraphrase Shakespeare, however, the gyrations may be all sound and fury, signifying nothing. May held support and July reversed higher Friday, helping November stay in the uptrending channel that's held for 2014. I don't expect USDA to change its old crop balance sheet in the May 9th report, keeping carryout at 135 million bushels. A lot more imports will be needed in coming months to keep processors from running out of soybeans, which should keep the market supported if volatile. New crop prices usually provide good pricing opportunities the first couple weeks of May, and while there's potential for higher prices on an old crop squeeze, prudence suggests pricing plenty of new crop to guard against the downturn. USDA is likely to put the 2014 crop at 3.52 billion bushels or more, adding at least 100 million bushels to carryout. Uncertainty over growth in China could hold back demand, another factor to watch. The wheat market also looked like it might be in some trouble this week, but doubts didn't last long. The wheat tour in Kansas found disappointing results. Their yield estimate for the state was barely above 33 bushels per acre, close to my own projection, though I'm higher on overall production. Still, USDA could estimate the winter wheat crop at 1.44 billion bushels, with total wheat output at just 2 billion bushels. Stocks could tighten as a result to around 525 million bushels in the year ahead. But that might not be enough by itself to spur big rallies. Conditions in other major growing regions appear adequate so far. Even in Ukraine, where tensions ratcheted up this week, grain is still flowing. Russia and Ukraine may not agree on much, but they split Friday's latest tender out of Egypt. Even in bullish years, wheat prices have trouble sustaining rallies into harvest. Chicago wheat puts offer additional downside protection into June for growers whose yields are still uncertain. Well, that's all for this week. Look for another edition of The Buzz after next Friday's USDA reports.
We'll have to have more margin now, there isn't any doubt. So you better dash with a load of cash or we'll have to sell you